Thank you, Mr. President. Hey, before I get into my presentation, I just want to, Mr. Kimmer's aware of this, and some of y'all, I think Mayor Potter's probably aware of this. Concerning the Goose Pond Island, you know, there's some archaeological assets there, and I would only ask that you be very sensitive to those archaeological assets, particularly on the peninsula that looks like a camera on the map. So, you know, just consider that when you're looking at the plans. Everything I'm about to relate to you and tell you about here today came right out of this building, City Hall. Employees of City Hall talked to me about a lot of things. Some of the things I'm sure some of you have read on my blog and on Facebook. And it's what I have talked to you before about is communications. I've talked to the City Council about it before, and I've talked about Mayor Potter about communications and how communications must not only travel laterally up and down, but also horizontally across the chain. To be effective in the management of this city, you have to have effective communications. I'm going to tell you about some things I've observed. I'm going to tell you about some things city employees have told me, and the reason I write what I write on this blog that I have in the borough. And it's been my observation, due to sufficient evidence presented to me, that elected officials of the city of Scottsboro have created a hostile work environment by actively discriminating, retaliating, and harassing city employees of the city of Scottsboro. And I reach this conclusion because of evidence that has been brought to me in writing. And I'll assure you, when city employees bring me evidence in writing, I encourage them to come forward and talk to y'all. If they can't talk to the mayor, then come and tell you about it. And I'm disturbed by this, and this is the reason I'm standing up here and telling you about it. And I'm telling the rest of the people, I'm telling the city employees, have some trust, as the Greeks say, which means gonads. Okay? If you got a problem, come forward and talk to you about it, let you know about it, let's work through it, instead of going where it's fixing to go to. And it's at the federal level, and it's going to get worse, I'll assure you. There has been overt attacks related to gender. There has been numerous instances brought to my attention by Scottsboro employees about these acts. I think it all started in an unlicensed private investigator, a personnel board member, was hired by the city of Scottsboro to stalk city employees in the attempt to catch them in some nefarious deeds. From the information I've seen, there was no nefarious deed, but that did not stop rumors circulating about untruthful relationships between employees after duty hours. The private investigators paid money from the accounts of the city of Scottsboro, taxpayer money. I have requested copies of documents, titled report of investigation or investigative summaries. These reports were not a restricted law enforcement file. They are unrestricted, personnel related. A violation in not supplying these documents violates Alabama Public Records Disclosure Law, in my opinion. And as such, I filed a complaint with the Alabama State Attorney General about this, because I want to see those records officially from the city of Scottsboro, either the mayor, the city council, or Mr. Kimmer as the city attorney, or from whatever attorney is representing Scottsboro, such as Lanier and Ford. It is my opinion that the photographing of city employees and the subsequent harassment by elected and appointed officials violates the laws of this state because of the reasons behind it, namely aggravated stalking, because a sexual advance was denied. And again, I want to emphasize to you, this is information being presented to me in either electronic or written form. Photographs and untruthful statements were then circulated based on the unethical, improper report of investigation to those in City Hall who had no business or no reason to be involved in the mayor's order of improper investigation. In other words, it not only went to the mayor, not only probably went to the attorneys, it went to other department heads in the city. Informants within the city of Scottsboro provided me with photographs, and now I realize why you did not want the photographs or report released, nor the documents related to this very unprofessional, questionable, probable, untruthful report. It demonstrates nothing except unprofessional conduct of those who scheme to harass, slander, and retaliate against a female employee who I have been told explicitly several times rebuked the sexual advances of a city official. But this is not all. The same employee was subject to further harassment by city officials by having pictures of her breast area shown around City Hall. Now, I've discussed this with Mr. Kendall. I've discussed this with other people. And again, I want to reiterate, this is coming right out of here. The employee was suspended in a retaliatory action. Pay was lost. To avoid legal action, the female employee's pay was reinstated and her attorney fees paid without the approval of the city council. It is my belief this act was unethical, that the city council should have met an executive session to discuss the matter and returned for a vote. This did not happen. Another employee has been subjected to harassment and discriminatory action. This employee has not been made whole again, and this currently, that case is involved in legal action in the circuit court. But my opinion, again, as a citizen of this city, apparently pride and poor judgment has stood in the way of good sense and better judgment. I think it could have been resolved. It has not. Now, let's talk about creation of hostility in the community. Hostility in the community can go both ways. It can come from me, it can come from you, it can come from other people. Sometimes I write satire. I post my satire on the blog, I post it on Facebook. But the one thing I do not expect is for a citizen, whether it be one or the community or 15,000, to be answerable to any politician up here. If I'm to be answerable, I'll be answerable to the law, just like you'll be answerable to the law. Now, another item, aside from this, has come to my attention. Now, I got a call the other morning that citizens are having their lawns manicured and dilapidated property demolished at the citizen of Scottsboro's expense. I went out there and videoed. A citizen called me up. I got one call and a second call. So I went out there and said, hey, I'll go out there and video. It was the property immediately west of Bird's Pawn Shop and in between the Century House. So my question to y'all, to the mayor or anyone about this, what is the authorization for this lawn care? On the taxpayer's dime. Apparently this has been occurring for at least a year and a half since the dilapidated structure was present on Google Earth drive-by in August of 2014, and then by the subsequent year the structure was gone. As I understand, ever since, the property has been maintained by the city of Scottsboro to include mowing. Now I have who the property belongs to, which is Rachel Jane Gross. So, in the meantime, I'm getting calls from city citizens in the city saying, well, we can't get our trees moved off our property. And, you know, they're cut, and here's limbs laying on, leaves laying on, trash. And they're not coming to pick them up. I called the mayor. I talked to council members. I said, well, you know, why don't you come to the city council and tell them about it? I can't make anybody come up here and stand, as I have several times before, and tell you about it. But I do suggest that. But this goes to the fairness of treatment. You do it for some people. If you're going to manicure what appears to be taking care of some person's property, are you going to take care of all of them? So I'm here. I'm standing here. What say you, gentlemen? And I kind of exempt Ms. Phillips and Mr. Kennemer, because they are not elected officials of the city of Scottsboro, but the rest of you are. So here I am. I'm standing before you.
Mr. President, I have something I'd like to say. Sometimes you write satire. Sometimes you write lies. This last couple of weeks, ever since I made the first post that I can ever remember making, when you came on and talked about the mayor being in Washington, strip joint, and all this kind of stuff, I knew that the mayor was in Scottsboro. He was even at his church. And I knew I was at home, so I wasn't in Washington. And I don't think any one of these gentlemen were at a strip club, but yet you put on there that they were. And when I did that, you've been after me ever since, and that's fine with me because it doesn't bother me. But you put on there that I had the city to tear down Miss Grove's house. Well, that building was, by the abatement board, judged to be in such a shape it had to be torn down or repaired completely. The mayor called and asked me, because I have breakfast every morning at Hardy's, Mr. Rose does too, and we eat together, a bunch of us do, every morning. He asked me that I would talk to her about it and see what we could do. I did. I gave her the options that I was told. She could repair the building, she could hire somebody to tear it down, she could donate the land to the city and we would tear it down, or she could pay the city and we would tear it down, which we do all the time. She wrote the city a check. It wasn't free. She paid for it when it happened. And then you say, because we're kinfolk, I did this. We're not kinfolk. You're wrong. When you accuse people of things that they didn't do. You also put on your post that when it was said that the mayor wasn't going to run again or may not run again, that I had Robbie Copenhagen in my vehicle showing him around town. The only time that I've even talked to Robbie Copenhagen last year is he was in City Hall over Christmas charities. The last day he had a family that was turned in, didn't have money, I gave him a $100 bill to help with that family. That's the only time he and I have talked. So you're wrong about that. You're putting, anybody can tell you anything, you can put it out here and make us all look like we're doing all kind of crime, and we're not. If I were doing crime in 46 years, 48 years, and 2 years when I get through this term, I'm pretty sure you'd have me arrested by now. And you're welcome to try it. Now, but I'm getting so tired of you're talking about all the things this council and the mayor and the people in the city are doing. You're destroying more lives than anybody in this town, and you're making us look like a bunch of rednecks. And I may be, but I'm proud to be what I am, but at least tell the truth. And I don't appreciate you.
Again, I'm going to tell you, Mr. Smith, everything that I've said there come right out of here. And you need to know about it.
Everybody here can lie, Mr. Morgan.
That's not the point of it. I'm about transparency, and I'm going to do what is necessary to expose whatever's necessary. Other people are going to come to me and say, I didn't know. I mean,
Find out before you put it on your blog.
that's up to you to tell us, Mr.
If you're
Smith.
about transparency, who are these people?
No, sir, I'm not going to disclose.
You're not about transparency.
No, sir, I think
My
that
only
you...
suggestion to you, Mr. Morgan, is you need to run for mayor. If you've got all the answers, you need to run for mayor.
I don't have all the answers. I'm interested in transparency. I'm disgusted by your conduct. I'm disgusted by it. I'm up here telling you about it. I appreciate your conduct. I appreciate your conduct. I mean, I don't have a problem with this. I think it needs to be aired because I'm here telling you that I don't have to do it. It would be very easy for me not to do it, not to say anything.
Just do the truth, Mr. Morgan. Just don't tell anything that somebody tells, because all that stuff I tell you and more are lies. And you should not report lies.
I don't think they are
And that's
lies.
all I have to say about that.
Well, I'm just telling you, I don't think they are lies.
I
will continue to practice.
We'll talk about it after the council meeting.
Pardon, sir?
We'll talk about it after the council meeting. If you don't believe they're lies.
No, I don't think so. I think that the city, this council, and the officials of this city have a responsibility to explain thoroughly what houses, if it's the abatement board, and I realize the abatement board is open to public access, but when the city crew is on private property mowing, I think you should let people know. This is me. I think you should let folks know what you're doing and why you're doing it. Now, you can dislike me for exposing that. You can dislike me for what I've said about the mayor or about you. See, I consider talking about the satire, the mushroom boy. I don't think you have been. I don't think you have been transparent. But, you know, we have a difference of opinion. Thank you. Anything else?